Hello. How's everyone doing? Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. Just getting things set up here. Welcome to the stream. So, Roger, hello, and Sin, a wild prat. Yes, we're all wild prats here. So, welcome everyone to the short stream today. Unfortunately, I ended up getting a meeting that's going to be happening in like about 2 hours or so. So I'll only be able to stream for about an hour and a half today, which I was hoping to do a really nice long stream and get a whole bunch of animation done today, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So we'll be trying to stream as much as I can and try to animate as much as I can. The only way for you to do a short stream is to be forced by work. Exactly. It's a fun balance. And Nicholas, hello! So today I'm just going to be continuing with the animation that I was working on before, the Zelda animation, and at this point we're pretty much going to be going into the refining phase. Technically, if I was animating this on my own, there's a few other things that I would like to do to tie everything else together, but I kind of feel like we've covered a lot of it already, so instead of kind of repeating the same thing over and over, I want to kind of start going into new stuff for everyone and show kind of different things to look for and refine in your shots. So we'll start to just go into the refining phase and see what we can go from there. And Noelia, hello! So let's just jump in here. So this is the shot, or the section that I'm working on. Last time we had just refined a little bit of the, just before the flip, right through here, making sure the feet are contacting correctly. And today I'm going to try and refine a big chunk of this, as well as the feet in the next section. So you can see here when the feet land, especially this one, it goes through the floor and then bounces back up. So there's keys kind of not quite in place right there. The arm right here just snaps right through the leg. The arc of that arm just stops dead. So little things like that. Making sure the body is working correctly, all that good stuff. And at this point, I'm working in splines. I'm no longer in step mode, and my goal, and hello Tony, my goal here is to tie down what I need. And this is one of the big things that I see a lot of new animators struggle with, is that switch, that transition between your blocking looks fantastic, everything is great, you've got like that timing is it's so good, and then you hit splines and everything explodes. And the core of this, the core of why it's exploding, if your blocking looks good, if your blocking feels great, and you go into splines and it looks awful, it's because Maya is doing too much work for you now. And what you need to do is tie down certain areas. So what I mean by tying down is putting in more keys so that Maya is doing what you want it to do and not doing whatever. And for me, part of that process is making sure that before I even hit splines, I have enough keys. This is why I've talked before about making sure you have things on like 2s or 4s, things like that. You don't necessarily have to do that, that's just my workflow. But even with that workflow, you can see that there's certain areas that are not working correctly. And if I was to expand this range here, you'll notice that there are areas that really don't work. So like the staff is not working. There are parts that just kind of fail. And this is after putting a lot more refining into things. So I should have remembered what range I was looking at here. So I was going to go right before she grabs this here. We're probably around 70. And hello, Peter. I'm doing well. Mostly just trying to get as much animation as I can done before I have a meeting later today. So let's see. So in terms of tying things down, John, hello, I'm doing well. Day one animating with an XP pen, nice. You'll have to let me know how that is. I've been wanting to try and use an XP pen just in order to recommend it to others. XP-Pen, Huion, and all of those. I've never used them personally, so I have trouble like recommending them to people because I don't know if like how good they are. So definitely let me know, and let me know if it kind of helps, or like any details you can give me would be super appreciated. I'd love to hear about it. Let's see. Do you only animate while you are streaming? With my current work schedule, unfortunately, yes. Most of my projects right now are not really animation, or it doesn't involve animating. It's animation related, but I'm not animating in my current projects. Hopefully that'll change in the new year when I get a new bunch of projects. I know I've got a bunch of videos that I'm going to be doing next year, hopefully, which will involve me animating some more, which is awesome. But currently it's been a lot of kind of prep work and stuff. So whenever I get to stream, this is like my animation time. I'm all gung-ho for this. I love it. Message them and tell them you're an influencer and you're willing to test and do a review. I've thought of doing that, but I don't know. It feels, I don't know, weird. I've never been good at promoting myself or things in general. It always feels like it's, I don't know. It feels weird to me. I know it shouldn't, because it would actually help me, and it would allow me to give people honest feedback or honest opinions. So it would actually be good, but I need to just get over it, I guess. What am I working on? I'm just working on this Zelda shot and working on refining it. And Sir Wade! Hello! It's good to see you again. Welcome back from your trip. I'll have to catch up with you later on. But thank you so much for the subscription. Oh, that's awesome. And Tatilicia, thank you so much. Hello. Let's see, if it feels right. You're in the middle of nowhere and your fan base is super strong. You made it with no one's help. Aw, thank you. Although I will say I didn't make it with no one's help. I made it with everyone's help. Everyone here is like super helpful, and like the community that you guys make is amazing. There's no way I would have done this like without you guys. And I don't mean that in the kind of like, oh well, like the kind of self-gratifying, like, oh, it's all up to you. No, like, I honestly mean that. Like, I've seen other streamers' communities. I've seen other people's streams, and it's like this deluge of trolls and people who are just nasty and mean and put each other down. And then I stream, and it's like everyone's super nice. It's like, hello, oh, how are you, best friend? Like, it's this awesome group, and it makes it so much fun. There's like, I cannot what's the word I'm looking for? I can't put up this community enough. Like, just how awesome you are and how much fun you make this for me, which is really nice. Let's see. Oh no, do you see the animatic? Oh yeah, I did see the animatics, Peter. Thank you so much for sending those. I love seeing animatics. I didn't have a chance to respond yesterday. But yeah, they were really awesome, especially the there was the Pink Panther one, and then the other one was the Anteater one. I used to watch the old Anteater cartoons growing up, so seeing that again was a lot of fun. France, a lot of streamers have toxic community. Yeah, I've seen a lot of toxic communities, and what really sucks for me, not for me, but like to me, what really annoys me is that oftentimes it's whenever like it's a female streamer, and it's just like, really, why? It's you have a girl who streams the same thing as a guy, but the community is just gonna rip them apart for no reason, and it's just so frustrating. And it's is just so like heartbreaking for me to see like how toxic some of these communities are. And then it makes me so grateful for everyone here when like everyone's so nice and someone new comes in the chat and everyone's there to help and give advice. It's so cool. Ooh, I think, did I see the Vimeo one? I think I might have. That was the, oh no, wait, I probably didn't see this one. Okay, I'll have to watch that one later. Does it happen in animation community? It does in certain communities. It's kind of in the more what's the word I'm looking for? The smaller kind of independent communities, but unfortunately it does still happen. Let's see. Gotta keep up with the chat here. If you have seen recent Looney Tunes, one of the characters, the Grim Reaper. Nice. I'm not going to return it. I just have to find a way to put it in position to use it right now since I have major muscle. Okay, my elbow tends to move out. Oh yeah, yeah. Those ergonomic arms can be a pain to set up. Starting tomorrow, but off again until the new year. Nice. I'll see if I can drop in that stream, Sir Wade. I definitely want to jump in there and see what you're up to. Try to get some time in there. But I think that's also because you and Cam, you're so aw, thank you. We try to be nice. Being nice is much more fun anyway. Vacation? Yes. Sir Wade definitely deserves a vacation. And then I'm looking forward to hearing your news about the of your channel and all that. That's going to be really awesome. Let's see. I'm going into the acting class. Nice. Awesome. Do you recommend Krita? Yes. Krita is fantastic. I actually have it on my system right here. And for a long time, I actually used Krita a lot more over... Oh, cool. They updated their little catch thing. That's adorable. I used it a lot more for 2D animatics and animations versus Clip Studio. I just found their tools to be a little bit more intuitive, and what I really like is if you create a new file, there's an animation template. So right there, which is fantastic for just getting started. I will admit now that Clip Studio has updated its animation tools, they're still not quite as visually intuitive as Krita, but I do find, just because I'm used to drawing in Clip Studio and I've got all my brushes and everything, I find it's kind of more intuitive for me now to use Clip Studio when I'm doing animatics. But I still kind of prefer Krita in terms of the actual program side of it. Let's see. By the way, I have 4 pages wrote from your last video. You know, nice. Sir Wade's videos are always fantastic. So glad you got a lot out of it. The panelists had so much great stuff. Oh, it was our pleasure, Sir Wade. It was a lot of fun getting to be the recorders and like the I wouldn't say cameraman, because all we did was sit there and hit the stop record button. But it was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, especially the sound side of it. I have a passion for like audio and getting to work with like the recorder and trying to figure out how to set it up with the mics and all that. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Let's see, this foot should definitely slide back here. So what I want is this foot position here is going to be tweaked, but I want the foot to come in, and right now you can see how it just kind of stops and then just hits a wall right there. It shouldn't do that. It should slide in. So it hits and then slides in and eases to a stop. That way it feels like the character has weight to them. Now, the other thing that I need to make sure is that the foot actually doesn't just slide as if it's on ice. It needs to have weight to it. Actually, I wonder if I can exaggerate this a little bit more by having this foot hit the ground here. Let me try something. Let's see. Let's see, I need is a good light table that can only show fractions of layers. If need be, opacity and a whole stabilizer smooth thing. He could never leave because he felt bad. I was the only one who said, oh yeah. But he wanted to leave because he worked too long anyways for free. Yeah, so in terms of stabilizing stuff, I do like stabilizers. My hand has a little bit of a shake to it. So if I turn off stabilization in like a drawing program, I tend to really see that a lot. With that said, I do recommend not getting, what's the right word I'm looking for? Not getting reliant on a stabilization program or like something that has super strong stabilization. The big reason for this, and this just goes for everyone, if possible, try to practice stabilization within your own arm. And Cameron talks about this quite a bit in his streams. But when you're drawing, instead of drawing slow, and let me get a pen that will really see this line here. Which one? Okay, this inking one should be really good. So this one has strong stabilization, but let's turn it down all the way. So if I try to draw this line here, and you can see that if I draw slowly, this line is very jagged. And you can see areas where, like right here and here, where I put a little too much pressure and it kind of added a blip. And you can have these very ugly lines. And the reason for this is that I'm drawing slowly and I'm not confident with my lines. So this takes time to practice. I'm not very good at this. Cameron is way better at this. But what he showed me and what he tells others is you draw from the arm, so not from the wrist, from the arm, and you go in a quick, smooth line. So if I want to do something like this, just do that. And you can see I have no line stabilization, but it's a nice clean line. There's no little errors in the line. It gets a nice smooth taper. And I can get these really nice lines with zero stabilization. And it's just a matter of practice. And some of the exercises that he recommends, this is mostly like if you're trying to be able to draw correctly. For example, like you want to draw a nice line to the face. The big problem that people have is that we have trouble hitting points that we need. So a good exercise that Cameron recommends is you just draw some dots and then try to draw a line that connects them. And you hit those dots. And you can see I'm not very good at it. I keep missing. This is something I need to keep practicing myself quite a bit. I'm not very good at hitting my marks. See, you can see I keep like overshooting or undershooting. Whereas Cameron, when he does this, it's like, and it hits. And this is still way better than I used to be. When I used to do this, it was like everywhere. I couldn't even get close to where I needed to be. So in terms of stabilization, it is nice, but don't let it become a crutch to you and let it hide your... I don't want to say this in a mean way, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but your lack of skill. So for example, for me, I have trouble drawing smooth lines and hitting my dots here. So what I used to do is I would use image or line stabilization so that I could draw a little slower and it would stabilize the line for me. Or I would start drawing like in these kind of hatch lines like this, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's it's stylistic. Some people do this and it's beautiful, but if you're trying to get a nice clean line, that's much better. Just nice, quick, and you get it. So the Zelda guy is different from Sir Fuego. Yeah, that's my brother. He does the drawing streams, and I do the animation streams. That's why the background changes, because he's got his own office in another room. So we embrace the twinness. I will say that. It's definitely interesting. It makes for interesting conversation, especially when people see us together. Let's see, my program Toon Boom Studios just has a smooth button and an extract center button, which helps. Who's this student here about? Not yelling, just stating I know. Let's see. Nice. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And I'm not saying that stabilization is a bad thing. Like, you can see my brushes, they all have some sort of stabilization to them. Of course, I picked one that doesn't. Like this one, it's a little bit. This one's a little bit more. I use stabilization. The key is to not let it be your crutch. And instead to use it as a tool. I hope that makes sense. Oop, wrong PV. Okay. So what I want here is for her leg to hit the ground. And then comes, what I'm hoping to get is this feeling of the foot hitting the ground and then sliding in. So it kind of creates this stronger impact to the foot coming down here. Make sure it moves in a nice arc in 3D space. So have you two ever collabed on a project? Yeah, we work at the same place. We do a lot of work together. And we're hoping to actually work on a short film together at some point. It's just kind of getting the time in. Let's see. Oh, I hate to say hi and run. Oh, Steven, hello! I think I will be streaming some animation tonight. Nice. Let's see. Me that saw both of you together at a campus in a video when I first saw you, so I never went through that confusion. Yeah, those early videos. I wish we could do more videos together. That was always fun. You tell Cameron he's a bit confused at times. Yeah. Let's see. So I want this to hit. That's probably going to be a little too much right there, but I'd rather exaggerate a little more than not have it nearly enough. So the foot comes down. Maybe rotate. Trying to look at the angle of the foot to make sure that as it contacts, it's kind of following the rotation of what that foot would be doing. Which actually, looking at the toes here, those toes need to point a little more towards camera. The way they're pointed right now, it would definitely break that leg a lot more. I'm just hoping the hips are gonna be able to handle it. Okay. That's better. Most people get that the easiest way to tell them apart is the background. Oh yeah. There's once you get to know us, it only takes like, I would say maybe a few hours, and then you can tell us apart, no problem. In person. Okay, so foot comes down off the ground, and then we're gonna tweak this a little bit so that the foot, as it hits the ground, it really hits hard. So it kind of comes crashing down and gets this nice kind of stomp to it. Now there's a little overshoot here. You can see right there as the foot comes back. I'm not opposed to it. but it definitely needs to be in the right area. And right now it doesn't feel quite like it is. So the foot comes in. That feels like it should go back a little bit. Like right there. It's sliding forward too long. It should only be like 1 frame, not 2. And then here it's sliding a little too much as well. All the weight is on this foot, so it should be much more stable. Let's just copy this key here so that rotation doesn't happen. And then let's do the same with the translation. So I'll just take this whole pose and just copy it over. Make sure I actually do the whole thing. There you go. Now that foot is stable through there. I can add a little shift to it, especially in the heel. But the big thing I want to make sure is that the foot doesn't move. What's the word I'm looking for? In a way that is excessive. Let's get this foot a little closer to the final position here. So we just get a little tiny move right there. Let's see. But have you two ever double dated? No, we have not. We've never dated, period. So maybe one day, we'll see. When we have time. That's the big thing. When we have time. They're in so they wear the same clothes, even socks, same accessories, same everything. Yeah, it's the backgrounds would be the same if we got 2 of everything, but we like to just get 1 and then share it, so it makes it easier to double our collection. They wear the same thing without even planning it. Yeah, we don't nowadays. We don't plan it; it just happens. It's become second nature. I always wanted twins since I found out the Olsens were twins, but I never had that movie moment. It does happen actually when not so much like you meet your long lost twin, but our dad had a moment where he went into the hospital and the person in the bed next to him turned out to look exactly like him. It was as if he had met his long lost twin, which was very strange. But things like that can happen, oddly enough. Okay. So what I'm doing here, just as an explanation, is I wanted to make sure that the pivot point on the foot... Let me undo this. Right now, if you watch the way the foot overlaps, or overshoots, I should say, it kind of comes back and then just slides forward, kind of randomly. Which, not necessarily a bad thing, but I want to make sure that it feels like the foot is kind of hitting a point here on the toe. So I'm looking at this edge of the foot, and then as it comes back, it's pivoting on that point, right here, like that. So it comes back and the heel feels like it's moving, and the toes feel like they're kind of holding the foot in place. Yeah, something like that. And she go, hello! When I was a kid, I really wanted a twin, but now I got twin friends. See, my accounting teacher looks like a smart Patrick Stewart. Oh, that's cool. I always love Patrick Stewart. Okay. Does that work? Kind of. There's definitely a visual pop happening in the leg as it comes down. Right through here. I might just need a multiple in there. I think I can also push the spacing of it a little bit more, just to be more dynamic. It's kind of coming down a little, kind of even. It's not bad, but I think I can just make it a little bit more visually interesting. But at least the leg is working now. And really, it's trying to make sure it gets a strong hit, and then that we feel that friction happening. So you can see how the foot hits at one angle like this, and not like this. If the foot hits this way and then just slides, that just makes it feel like it came down and then just fit over. By having it hit something like this and then drag as it gets it, or like this, and then go like that, and you get that rotation in the ankle, it's going to give the feeling of friction in the leg as she's kind of hitting the ground, and her foot is trying to stick on the ground. She's putting weight into that leg. So this is always something I look for in my shots, is where can I put kind of friction or weight into a moment. Okay, and now you can see by stabilizing this one foot over here so that it's not sliding around, as she lands over here, that foot comes in, and now that toe is stable. And Zizui, thank you so much for the follow. You can see screen left foot right here, it's kind of solid, which makes it so that when the other foot moves here, the weightless feeling that was happening before is gone. Because before what was happening is both feet were moving together at the same time, which we can't really do unless we're very weightless. Like you see dancers and stuff, they'll move and shift their feet at the same time. That's because they're very light on their feet and they can move a lot very quickly. This is a character who's just done a flip. All of her weight came crashing down. She's not going to be light on her feet and just kind of dancing around. There's going to be weight in here. If there's weight, that means something has to hold that weight. In this case, that one supporting foot. So by making sure that stays stable, I can make a moment that has a little bit more weight. I can also push this by holding this foot a little longer as well. So will you help with the Surf Fuego plush? I actually will be trying. I'm going to be doing some sculpting of Surf Fuego once Cameron kind of finalizes the design, to see like what we can kind of see it in 3D basically. But that's going to be in a little bit. Do you know if video game creators have to animate every scene where someone is talking with voice? They do not. It depends on the game though. Sometimes they will. But for example, something like Mass Effect, where there's just these dialogue trees and it's just like tons of dialogue that just like to be able to have to animate every single scene of that, it would be impossible. Instead, what they do is that they use a procedural lip sync generator. It's why a lot of those games, I'm trying to think of a good contrast. So certain games you'll look at and the lip sync is just amazing. As in a cutscene, the characters will be talking and it's beautiful to look at. They're just animated. Everything feels amazing. And then things like Mass Effect or Horizon Zero Dawn, anything like with lots of dialogue. The characters are going to be staying there. Fallout is similar. The characters kind of stand there and their mouths are moving, but like there's a little expression in their eyes sometimes, but it kind of has a little bit of a disconnected feeling to it. And I'm not saying this is bad. It's just kind of a limit of technology where you're not going to... No studio is going to want to put out the money it would require to have an animator animate all that. No animator would want to animate all those lines of dialogue. There's thousands and thousands of lines. The game would take 10 years to release if someone had to do that. So what they do is that they use a procedural lip sync generator, which basically analyzes the dialogue and picks out mouth shapes from a library of mouth shapes to put in and create lip sync, which oftentimes works pretty well, and it's always getting better. But it creates this kind of slightly disconnected look compared to like if an animator went through and made a whole performance out of it. There's also like things like procedural animation in a character as well. So for example, if you look at Shadow of the Colossus, the main character's animation, a lot of it is procedurally done, which basically means that the computer is helping to analyze where his footsteps should be. This is what allows characters to in video games to walk on uneven terrain without having an animator animate every single possibility that could arise from like a ground that's flat versus that versus a step versus like all of these things. You have procedural animation that helps with that, and they kind of tie in separate animations together. So with video game animation, there's actually a lot of really cool what's the word I want to use? Little kind of tricks, or I wouldn't even say tricks, but there are ways that they kind of simplify things, but also it makes it very interesting as an animator that instead of just kind of doing straight ahead animation, you get to kind of work with a computer and work with the game engine to create a performance that you might not have been able to do normally, which I always find a lot of fun. There's just something about kind of getting to stretch your animation muscles and do something that's a little different. That's always just kind of fun to me. So what I'm doing here is I'm just delaying when this screen right foot starts to move to help sell the weight of the foot here. So by delaying it just a little bit more, just one frame, is going to allow the weight to kind of go into that leg and then give her enough energy to push off with this foot before kind of coming up. Something like that. It's a little change, but it's going to make a big difference. Now here I want to make sure that heel doesn't just freeze. Let's see. Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, I believe, was all animated. There was no... Most of the cutscenes are like the actual fully animated cutscenes. They would be hand animated. The in-game cutscenes, so using the game engine, especially if you're looking at the original Kingdom Hearts, a lot of that dialogue is just not quickly generated, but generated from a procedural engine, so that you don't have to worry about animating all these just moments when the mouth is just doing this. And I do apologize if I sound stuffy. I managed to catch a cold last week and it's still haunting me. Okay. The foot comes up. And this is not in my original reference, this foot kind of coming up like this, but I kind of like it. This is kind of a moment where Maya added something that shouldn't have happened, but I like it. Usually we tend to call these happy accidents, whereas like usually we want to have full control. Maya did something and it's like, ooh, nice, good job, Maya. You did good. So I'm going to see if I can maybe incorporate it a little bit more. Yeah, it kind of just adds a nice little lightness to this. It contrasts well with the like heavy stomp here, and then we get a little nice. Oh, and Peter, thank you so much for the follow, or sorry, subscription. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much. Aw, you guys are awesome. Thank you. And Nicholas, whoa, geez, thank you so much. Wait, Peter, Nicholas, Crutenci, Abramation, Noelia. Is that all back to back? I'm looking at the chat here or in my window, and it's like I've got a bunch of notifications. Oh, geez, it is true. Whoa, thank you guys so much. Jeez. Peter, Nicholas, Kurotenshi, Abramation, Noelia, thank you all so much. That's awesome. I think this is a stream first. Oh wait. That's Sir Wade. Sir Wade, you just gifted subscriptions? Whoa, jeez. That is the first. I've never had a gift on this stream before. Whoa, thank you so much, Sir Wade. Oh, jeez. I'm just trying to catch up with the chat. Like, I've got notifications I've never seen before. Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome. And I think with that, actually, we got enough subscribers that we get a new emote. So I'm going to have to design one after this. Thank you so much. Oh, that's awesome. Aw. You guys are awesome. Can't thank you enough. See, this is what I mean about making... You guys make this fun for me. As much as, like, I'm doing this and, like, a lot of it is you guys making it a joy to do. I really enjoy this. Just getting to hang out with everyone. Let's see. Oh, he gave emotes to everyone too as well? Jeez. I'm gonna knock some subs off my desk. He wants you to do more work, apparently. That's awesome. Luna deserves thanks. That's awesome. Thank you again so much. Jeez, that is so cool. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat here and trying to figure out what all these notifications mean. It is so cool. What is it? Shrug left? Interesting. I don't know what that message is that came up. I do Twitch and I don't know too much about it, unfortunately. I keep thinking, you know, I should really, like, spend some time and really, like, get the broadcasting elements of Twitch, learn them, how to do them properly, all that stuff. And then I totally forget. And it's like, oh, maybe another day. Let's see. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So I want this to contact here. Let's set a key there. It's going to be the contact, and this is going to be the frame before the contact. So let's just bring that up slightly, and then make an arc. Whoop. So this is going to be the fun part of trying to take what Maya gave me and trying not to ruin it. So what I mean by this is I've got this animation, this nice arc that Maya kind of put in. But now I want to recreate it and have full control over it instead of just letting Maya kind of do whatever. But what this means is now I'm going to have to change it all and put it into actual proper keys. So for example, when the foot comes off the ground, I don't want to have these extra rotations on the foot. I want to use the main foot control, like so. But now that means that I have to reposition the foot all manually, which will give me the control I need, but may also screw up with the nice feeling that Maya was giving me earlier. So the smart thing to do here, and I kind of didn't do it here, but that's fine, it's a very short frame range, is to make a buffer curve. So you buffer your curves first and then start tweaking it. This way you can always kind of reset your animation back to the version that Maya had given you, and you're not kind of risking just losing it completely and then not knowing how to get back to what Maya was doing. So what I want to do here is I'm just tweaking the spacing of it so that as it reaches the end here, there's kind of a little bit of a moment where the foot keeps going screen right and lifts off the ground here. So it kind of goes up and screen right, like that, and then starts changing direction and just dragging a little bit. So we get this nice sense of overlap in the foot, like so. Just a little. And then it can come back and it contacts here. And once again, make sure my keys are all correct. Let's get all of this zeroed out. Oop. So we get, you can see here how the spacing is not working anymore. It just kind of stops right there. So that's the contact on 71, I believe. Okay, so the reason I'm looking forward here is I want to see where the foot is actually going to end up going. So it contacts on 71, and then I want it to move in this kind of arc backwards. So that means on 70, let's kind of bring it forward. And one platypus, hello! And Zizui, great stuff. See, thank you. It's late in my neck of the woods. Oh, thank you so much for dropping by. It was great to see you. And yeah, if ever you have questions or like demo requests, and this goes for everyone, always feel free to message me anytime. I'm always happy to set up some demos or do some specific streams for people if they need it. Okay, so it goes up and comes back. I can probably hold it a little longer actually on this kind of stretch here. So it kind of goes out. Let's hold it just a little longer. Exaggerate that hang time. Now, actually another thing you can do with motions like this is if you're having trouble figuring out how it should move, I think I've pretty much got it close there. What you can do is use your grease pencil tool. So I could just mark out exactly where I want the heel to be on this and use that kind of as a guide for my spacing. Let's not have the toes dip down quite so much here. It kind of looks like her ankle is breaking. Something like that. Let's see how that feels. There you go. So now it's not quite right. There's a little bit of a knee pop and some spacing issues. But now instead of the foot kind of just hitting and then floating and over, there's kind of this feeling of weight being pushed into the leg as it kind of hits over here, stops, as the leg reaches a stretch and then comes back. So I've taken what Maya gave me, and you can see that wobble in the leg right here. I took what Maya gave me and I used it as inspiration to actually make proper mechanics. And I think the reason is, there you go. So just make sure that knee doesn't wiggle. And here I'm noticing the foot's popping, so let's kind of bring this in like that. And Peter, I did see your question. I'll get to it in just a second. I just want to kind of finish this before I lose track of what I'm doing. This is one of those moments where, and everyone's going to have this kind of moment. It's totally natural, so don't be like discouraged by it. Where you're looking at something. So I'm looking at this and I keep losing track of my spacing. And that's normal. That is perfectly, like, absolutely normal. And basically what's happening is that as I'm looking at this, my eyes are trying to focus on too many things at once. And I kind of mentally have to break it down and force myself to focus on one thing at a time. Let's see, this needs to be on the ground here. So it's just a matter of really not losing your focus. And this is one of the reasons why people talk about, like, as an animator, you don't want to listen to music or like do anything that's distracting while you work, is moments like these. For me personally, I find music helps with moments like these, but some people, it really pulls them out of it. So let's see. How does one learn timing? How long should something go for, even if you can't act it out? The way you kind of learn timing is by studying. That's really it. So you study, for example, a walk, and you break down a walk and you time things out. How long does each step take? How long does it take to go from the contact to the passing pose to the next contact? Okay, well, what about a fast run, a slow run, a walk, a slow walk, a fast walk? You just study these and you start to make mental notes of common timings of things. So for example, a normal walk that most people will do is 12 frames per second. So from one contact to the next takes 12 frames. That is the average speed that humans tend to walk at. Some people walk a little slower, some a little faster, but that's like the general average. A fast walk tends to be about 8 frames from one contact to the next. A slow leisurely walk, about 16 frames. So once you have those kind of ideas in your head, and you can, like, you start building them up over time. It's just a matter of studying and time. But you start building a library of timing in your brain. So for example, if I have to animate her walking very tired, like she's really tired after doing all this, and I want it to feel like it's a little slower, well, I know that about 14 to 16 frames would be good per step. Now this also changes depending on how far each step is, but like from there I can kind of interpolate and change and use that library to make new timing. It's also when you're starting, this is not going to be something you're going to be able to do like right off the bat, simply because, well, it takes time. But what you can do when you first start out is you can use reference. So you really study your reference and use that as kind of a starting point for your timing. You don't copy all of the timing in your reference. That would just kind of make it boring. So like what I did here was I originally followed the timing of my reference pretty closely, but then I retimed everything myself to make it more interesting. It's why the flip has this really nice kind of feel to it is I adjusted the timing to give it more of a hang time. Okay. I'm kind of getting a little nitpicky on this foot, but I think it's pretty close for now. Let's see. This is looking... Oh, thank you, Sir Wade. The animation I'm doing is like a Tom and Jerry scream where the person looks at something and jumps up in front in midair, turns his body and runs. Yeah, so just study Tom and Jerry cartoons, not just one clip. If you study just one clip, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be copying the animation that they did on that one scene. Instead, try to study a variety of clips from Tom and Jerry and see what the kind of common tools they use to create that effect is. So you're kind of making a collage, I guess you could say, of information and using that to create a new animation from there instead of just copying one thing. It's something we always have to be careful of when we're trying to take inspiration from a previous animation or a previous cartoon, is that fine line between inspiration and copying or just kind of redoing is very fine, and we want to try and not do that. And I'm not saying that you're copying or tracing, that's definitely not what it is, but even just kind of like, for example, there was one time when I was first starting out, I was trying to figure out what was it exactly. It was a clip from a cartoon. Which cartoon was it? And this was just a test I was doing on my own. And I was trying to understand how, I think it was like a staggering effect. Like when you see cartoons and they go, like they jump up and down in fright and they kind of go like that. And I was trying to understand that mechanic. And I was following one clip. I think it was from an old an old Pluto cartoon, where it gets lost in the snow. And I ended up following it too closely. Like without even realizing it, I was looking, okay, they did this, okay, I'll do that, and just get it close. And it looked okay, but it looked like a copy. So it's just a general warning for everyone. Like that's good for your own learning, but especially if you're going to be applying something into your own shot, you want to make sure that you're taking the inspiration from it, but not just mimicking it. Yeah, exactly. Learning how they do it, just trying it out, and then taking what you learn from there and applying it into a new shot in a different way. So that can be very helpful. Jump. Okay, so the next part that's kind of catching my eye here is the arm. It makes it look like there's a knee pop, but it's the hand cutting through the knee that's causing the problem. Now, before I do that, simply because of the way I'm animating the arms here, I'm going to have to tweak the body first. The arms are set to follow the body. So if I tweak the arm first, I'm going to have to redo it if I do any changes on the body here. And the big thing I want to double check here is the rotation of the hips. If I'm looking at the kind of line of the hips right here, over this one frame, it just goes chunk and just falls down. So I want to really watch that, and that's the rotate Z, and there it is right there. You can see that kerchunk motion. Let's see. And I need to do the closing part. I just know they have a bounce to it. Cheddar has no legs. It's like it's just a foot shoot. Yeah. I do remember that from the design. It was really adorable how they just kind of were so simply designed in that sense. Okay, I just want to hold here a little longer. I really kind of want to make it feel like the leg, as it comes down, the leg is the thing that's pulling the hip down, versus when this is up here, it kind of feels like the hip is pushing down and bring the leg down with it, which could work, but in that position it would be very hard to use your hip to throw everything over. It would be your body and your obliques, the side muscles, that do the big motion. So instead, if I delay the hip a little bit here, it'll make it feel like just the weight of the leg is what's causing the body to come crashing down here. So it hits. And then here, do I want to keep pushing that body over and that weight over? Probably. So it comes in and really gets this kind of weight in there instead of just freezing. Now this means I'm going to have to adjust the spine because now the head's going to have a big extra motion in there, but we'll see. Okay, let's see. I need to catch up with the chat here. Oh, heck yeah. To learn facial animation or facial poses, I would try to replicate Flynn Rider. Yeah. So replication is not a bad thing. It is a great way to learn. Hey, Jeranum. Hello. I hope you're doing well. I'm struggling with overlap. In my last turn in for ANO2, it looked like everything is moving at once. Also, I was told it's lacking in weight as well. Any tips on how I can focus and improve on that, even over break? Short exercise is going to be the best way to try and improve on that. Just do quick little exercises of a character shifting their weight from one leg to the other. Things like that can be very helpful. In terms of everything moving at once, this is where there's different techniques, animation techniques that can change the way you approach this. For me personally, when I work, I build in my overlap in the keys. So what this means is that whenever I set a key, I try to think of what's leading, what's following, and what should stay behind. So let's see. I'm gonna do this here. This is gonna be probably the easiest way to show it. So let's do an animation. Beep. Make sure my brush is okay. Now this is gonna be a super rough animation. But Krita does animations? Yes, it does. Krita, you can do animations, so you can see I've got an animation template right here, and I could use this as well. Like I said earlier, though, I tend to prefer Clip Studio simply because I've got all my brushes in there. So, let's say you've got a character, and I'm going to have to try and think of what I want them to do here. So, let's just kind of keep the body very simple here. So let's say we've got a character and they're just standing here. And I want this character, I'm going to have them probably do a bigger move just so we can see things a little more clearly. So arm like so, and then the other arm is just down here. Or let's actually put it like right there. Okay. So, what should this character do? Let's say they're just going to turn around and shift their weight. We'll just do a weight shift. Oh, take care, Nicholas. So, I'm going to start shifting their weight. Is this Brainlord music? Yes, it is. I love Brainlord. It's not a great game, but it's so much fun. So, I'm going to shift their weight, and I want them to end up on this leg here. Kind of this way. The music in Brainlord was one of my favorite bits. So good. And maybe this foot's gonna slide actually. So just kind of incorporating some of the elements I was talking about here, where the feet shouldn't feel like they're just glued in place. This foot's going to slide over a little bit. Okay. So we've got the character doing a weight shift like this, and I'm not going to worry about the arms. It'll just take more time. So we've got that to that, and he's kind of losing a little mass. He's shrinking down. That's fine. So how do I want to do this? The problem with offset is that oftentimes when we first get started, we let Maya take over a little too much, and we let Maya kind of dictate where our poses are going to be. So I've got my 2 keys here, and now I'm going to set a key in between. And what Maya will do is everything is going to start moving. So the hips are going to be over here, the body's going to be in the middle, the head is going to be in the middle, and everything is going to be just centered. So something like that. And then the foot, this one's going to be in the center here, and then the other one's just going to be there. So suddenly you've got an animation where it's just everything sliding over. Now, I'm not saying that this is what we normally do, but this is kind of a extreme version of this. Well, how do we start improving that? So can I just duplicate this whole folder? Yeah, I can. So the reason I want to duplicate it is so we can compare. So we've got that. Okay. So let's get rid of this poor guy. Okay. So that is kind of the base thing, where we have one key to the next and Maya just fills in the blanks. So as we start learning animation, we go, you know what? We need to add more keys, breakdowns. That's going to be the thing that helps. So we add a breakdown. So instead of just right in the center, maybe we want the head to lead. So the character is going to look and then the body follows. So I'll add a breakdown right in the middle. So maybe instead of being right center spacing wise, like there, maybe the head's already going to be favoring the last pose here. So maybe it's already going to be over here. We can think of arcs. So maybe does he dip down, or does he kind of bring his eyes up? So maybe I'll just kind of bring the head down this way a little bit. Okay. Now the body. Well, the body is going to drag from the head. So maybe it's not going to be quite as far as the head. So it's still kind of dragging back from over here. And the hips could be moving slightly, but still kind of favoring that position. Since the hips are still over on this side, the weight would still be in this foot, like so. So now we get that. And it's starting to break things up. So we get a little bit more visual interest. Yes. But we still have a problem. And that is that if we were to spline things out now, let's see, duplicate this, move that over. So if we were to spline this out now, what we would end up getting is a similar issue that happened here. And like in this middle pose, the head would be in the center and everything would still be moving. And I am not putting it on a different key. Let's actually put in a key here. So we get this body in the center, hips in the center, and I'm just drawing super doodly now. So it's still going to have that feeling of everything moving at the same time and ending at the same time. So let's do one more key here. So center, center, center. This foot is going to be in place, and this foot's going to be in the center. So something like this. So now we've got a more refined motion, but you can see that everything starts to move at the same time and ends the movement at the same time. This is the kind of next hurdle that people run into, is they've added the in-betweens, but now we need to break it down even more. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put a key on every single frame and key the whole body at all times. That's kind of overkill. But it does mean that when you go into splining and refining, that you kind of have to think through what should stay behind, what should maybe overshoot, and what should stay in place. So, to kind of give an example here, let's go on this last one again. And as the character starts to lean, instead of just letting everything start moving at the same time, well, maybe as the character starts leaning, once again, the head will lead the action. But we're going to kind of ease it out a little bit more. So the head, maybe it'll dip kind of down and then around. So be a bit more of an arc like that. So maybe it'll be like right there, kind of coming down. Which means the body is going to be kind of staying in place here. And it might actually, because he's kind of twisting his head down, his body might actually kind of go the opposite way a little bit. So it's actually going this way just a bit. His hips might actually stay pretty much in place on this frame. And this foot, because of the weight shift, maybe it's an anticipation and the heel kind of comes up a little bit. So we get something like this now, where instead of everything just kind of going one way all at the same time, now we've got this kind of breakup of action where the hips are not really moving, the head's turning, but the body's going in an opposite direction. Some contrast in there. As he's coming to a stop, well, how can we make certain things come to a stop a little sooner? So, for example, maybe the head, instead of just coming in and just hitting right there, maybe it'll come in and overshoot just a little bit. So the head kind of comes up over here. I'm exaggerating, this is going to be a big overshoot. But something like that, which means the body is actually going to, let's see, the body is coming through. Maybe the body is going to come up a little bit more. There. And the hips are still catching up. So this neck is way too long here. Let's see. Let's do this. Instead of having him go up so high, we'll just kind of have him go out and then back. And let's really push that kind of line of action in the body here. The hips kind of drag back. So something like this maybe. And we get something like that. So now, instead of everything kind of just going and closing in like straight, now the head starts to come back as the body slides into place. And if we were to add more frames after this, well, we can have the hips settle a little differently from the head. Or if we were to add the arms, for example, so we've got the arms kind of, sorry, my nose is really getting stuffed up now. Uh, we've got the arms kind of in place. Well, maybe as he starts moving, this arm hasn't moved yet. So in the first bits of the animation, this arm stays exactly where it is before finally kind of dragging here and then swinging through. The other arm could maybe like contrast the motion, kind of come in a little bit before, in this case, because it's on this side that's being pushed, it's just kind of following the body and kind of being pushed down with the body. And then as he comes up, maybe it kind of overshoots now from being right next to the body, and then settles in. So something like that. So there's so much you can do, like so many little bits of variation, and I'm actually gonna reduce this arm here and maybe just have it kind of come in like that. So if we look at this now, suddenly you've got some things that start moving, others that don't. And that arm is what really helps sell it, is this moment where you can see the arm doesn't really do anything until it gets dragged back. And you start to sell this feeling of the motion not just being robotic and everything moving and stopping at the exact same time. So I hope that makes sense. And again, because I'm doing it in 2D, I have to draw every single frame. If you're doing it in CG, you can apply like what I'm doing here, where with this foot, I didn't re-key the whole body. My keys on the body are still, you can see big gaps right there. But the foot is basically keyed on ones this whole segment, if you look at the timeline. Look at the difference in the timeline there. And basically what I did with the foot is I made sure that it held a little longer and overshot or repositioned itself based on the movement above it or below it. Well, in the case above it, since it's the foot. But I'm making sure that it doesn't just follow at the same time. I'm breaking that up myself manually. So I hope that makes sense. And if you have any other questions on that, definitely let me know. And let me catch up with the chat here. The music is very Mega Man-ish. So I would say Krita is simple and easy to learn. Oh, nice. Yeah, I tried open tunes, but it was very tricky. Weight shifting resource. Nice. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. And in terms of like getting better at it, is just do little tests instead of trying to do a long 500 frame shot or 100 frame shot. Do a 24 frame character going from one leg to the next, a character going from sitting to standing, and don't worry about getting like all the final polishy details. If your goal is to understand like making sure that motions start and stop at different times, just get to like the refining phase, like just after splines. And once you get that feeling in there, good. Do another one, and you do another one, and you do another one. And it's mostly about the repetition. And this is the key here. It is not about the mindless repetition. It is the thoughtful repetition. So one technique that I really like in terms of learning, and I've been kind of applying this to like simple sculpts recently, and let's see if I can open ZBrush without it crashing my stream. Last time I tried, it wasn't great. But I've been trying to get back into sculpting, and I don't have too much free time, which means I can't get a full sculpt done. But I figured, you know what? I'm just going to do some simple sculpts. I'm going to take 15 minutes. and I'm going to do something and it's not going to look good. It is going to look awful. And I'm showing this to you guys because I want to prove that things don't have to look good for you to learn. It is very easy to watch professionals, and especially like for me, when I look at artists and they draw something, it's like, oh man, it's so beautiful. What you don't see is the learning process that goes behind it. And I could show you like, oh, look at this project I made and see how beautiful it looks. So, for example, I'm going to show you just like a quick, do I have one here? I had a boot that I'd done. Let's see, I think this was some practice I'd done a while back. This was quite a while back. Haha, a blob. So this was, there you go, learning the anatomy of the mouth. So just like doing the lips, all of that. Oh, take care, Peter. So trying to figure out how the shapes of the mouth work. And I did like a bunch of different practices like that, of just figuring out that one thing. And you can see that, oh, that looks decent. You've got all the details, all of that. That is not the point. You don't want to go, like, you could go to this level, but that's not the point of quick practice. Just take like half an hour or an hour and do what you can, and then you repeat. But as you're doing it, you're trying to analyze what went wrong and what went right. So another, I think maybe, yeah, this was just eye anatomy practice. Let's see. I wish I had one of the other things I did, but that doesn't matter anyway. Oh wait, here it is. So I think this is like a model I was working on, just trying to make some just making a boot basically. That one took a while. So I could show you that and go, oh, see, like, I did this. It was just a quick test. And that's what it was. It was a test. But this took time. When you're doing quick tests just to try and understand a concept, don't worry about it taking a lot of time. Let me show you the test I was doing just a few days ago that was just trying to understand the forms of the face. And you will see that they are going to be ugly. And that's the point. It's not about getting the final polish and getting all of it like, oh, beautiful, it's amazing. It's about just getting the forms. So this was a skull practice that I'd done. And you can see there's no polish to it. It's still very low polygons. Like there's no teeth in here, there's nothing. It was just trying to understand the forms of the skull, and it's wrong. I know it's wrong. You look at it from the front and like something's off. There's something about the shape of the head that is not right. And that's fine, because I make notes of that. I compare it to actual skull reference and go, okay, what did I do wrong? And now when I do it the next time, it'll be much faster and I might correct it. I did a facial test, and this was with no reference, nothing. It's just trying to like put in the mental things, and you can see this is wrong. It looks Gollum-esque. It's just like, ugh. There is something very creepy about this. But that wasn't the point. It wasn't to make something that looked appealing. It was to try and zero in the concepts into my brain. And then once you do this, then you bring in reference and then you compare. Now this is sculpting. With animation, we can do the same thing. So instead of trying to make a full, complete shot over and over and over and over, focus on a short little test. Sorry, my nose is so plugged up. Do a little test where, again, 24 frames, you have them move. Take an hour, take 2 hours to do it. If you don't get it done, or if it doesn't look good, that's fine. Analyze what went wrong, figure out what you're kind of missing, and try to apply it into the next one. And you look at the things that you're missing, and don't just try to redo them out of your head. Like, for example, let's say you do an animation and, like, oh man, the overlap isn't working, or it's just everything's feeling like it moves all together. Okay, I've got this on my to-do list. I'm going to study what makes those things work. I'll look at reference, I'll study reference, I'll find any material I can and watch it and read through it. And then I'll do it again with that new knowledge in mind. And then I'll try it again with that on hand. So for example, with drawing, I could try to like draw a face, and okay, I'm just going to do this really quick here. I draw a face, the eye goes like right there, the other eye goes here, we've got the eyebrows, the nose, and then the mouth. Okay, there's something wrong with those. Okay, let's analyze it. I'll bring in a reference. What did I do wrong? Well, for one, the perspective of the face is off. It's feeling very flat right here if I draw a box, versus if this is at an angle, it should feel like it's at an angle. There's perspective to this face. It should feel like that. Additionally, the proportions are off. If you go from the top of the head down, the center should be where the eyes are. From that should be the bottom of the nose and then the mouth. So my proportions are slightly off. Okay. And you break this down and you try to understand, what did you do wrong? The jawline. The jawline angles down. It's very rare for jaws to be like this. Our jawline tends to go up. And then the ear comes back behind that. So you start to analyze and you break things down and you do a studied process, but you do it quick. If you do a long shot, you're going to be spending so much time on something that may have been broken right from the start, and now you've just compounded errors, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it makes it longer to learn. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that would be my advice, is just really focus on little things and breaking down your knowledge, or your learning, I should say. Okay. So I need to fix that arm still. Let me look at the hips. We were looking at that last time. Yeah, the hip feels better now. There's more weight to it. Kind of, you get that feeling that the leg is the thing that's pulling the body now. Now, just quickly, I want to add a little bit more drag to the body. So as the body comes down, it's down here. I wonder if I can maybe just push this a little bit more. Push the head a little bit more here. Let's push the neck. Like me, my animation looks bad, so I just took everything and sort of reset it and watched a reference to see, oh, yeah, exactly. Quick tests are going to be a huge part in growing quickly. And it's not to say that you shouldn't do big tests either, but you don't want to be caught in a loop of just long exercises that take you a long time to get done. If that's the case, you're going to be I don't want to say struggling, but it's going to take you longer to learn certain concepts. I tuned in just as the perfect time, I guess. I'm still very new to animation, but I've already tried to bite off more than I can chew. Everyone does. I did it so many times. It took me forever to learn. Do something short, do something simple. It's just like we're all artists. We want to create something big and awesome right away. I almost did the same again, but I know I need to focus on the basics more. Yeah, and this is where, like, there is a catch-22 with this. And I shouldn't just clarify, for anyone who doesn't know what a catch-22 is, it's just when, like, you've got, like, oh, you should do it this way, but there's going to be issues. Or, like, you should do it this way because it'll help you learn faster. But in a sense, it could also make you learn slower. And what I mean by this is, let me just get this overlap in the body working here. Okay. So one of the things that I did for a long time with drawing is that I would have that idea of, I should just learn one thing and really focus on that. And then I can combine everything together and make something bigger afterwards. So, for example, I would try to draw eyes. So if I want to draw an eye, I can draw an eye pretty well now. I know a lot of the steps now. It's not the most complex eye, so this is going to be kind of a more cartoony eye just because it's going to be a little faster. But let's clean that up here. So we've got that. Give it a little shading. And you can see it's not looking too much like an eye yet, but I've learned how to make an eye look appealing. For one thing, there's line weight. So for example, making sure that around the pupil here, we get just a little bit of a line right in there. We get kind of a stronger line around the eye. This is going to help lead the audience to where the character is looking by having this thicker line right here. The other thing that's going to help is shines in the eye. So shines in the eye are what really add life to an eye. So for example, you just do something like this, maybe a little line right there and something like that, and suddenly the eye tends to look a little bit more natural, even when it's a cartoony eye like this. So something like that. So you can really start. Yeah, I like the Pokeball style eye. I don't know why. It's just whenever I draw a cartoony eye lately, I've been doing this. So we've got that. Well, if we want to add a little bit more interest to the outside of the eye, well, let's add some quick lashes here. So quick lashes, sometimes you can just do something like that and color that in. Normally I would try to do this a lot cleaner, but we'll just leave it like that. So we've got something like that, and now let's add an eyebrow. And for the eyebrow, just let's do a quick something like that. And see, this is where learning how to do that line where you can connect them is very nice and clean. So something like that. And you can see, like, this is a very simple cartoony eye. There's really not all that much to it, but it has some life to it. And I've been that's been something I practice, so I know how to do that. I can do simple mouths. I can do those kinds of things. I understand those. But because I was focusing so much on a little thing all the time, I have trouble doing a full face. Putting it all together is something I still struggle with. So kind of a caveat to that whole like, oh, just practice one thing and like really understand it, is it shouldn't be the only thing you do. You still need to do longer shots or longer projects, bigger projects, so that you can learn how to bring all of those elements together. If you're only working on small things all the time, you're going to get good at that small thing, but you're going to struggle making the larger thing. So it is a balance. And oftentimes, like, I'll be working on a large project and doing small tests at the same time. So that way, when I'm tired of the big project, I can go to the small tests, kind of refresh my brain, and then jump back into the large project. Do I still work on Zelda? Yes, I am. I was just doing a tangent right there. So right now I'm actually trying to fix this arm. And I think that'll probably be the last thing I can do before I have to get going for a meeting. Unfortunately. So the arm comes down, and I have to try and think, how do I want this to come down? So I could have her arm like come up and through, but I think that's going to feel kind of weird. I could also have it like tuck in, which I think would feel better. But it's still gonna feel strange, I think, because it's gonna feel like, unless she brings that arm in earlier as she's falling, it's gonna feel like that arm should hit, and then the other arm is feeling way too stiff right here. You can see how it kind of bounces right there. That's gonna have to be tweaked. So let's see here. How do I want to do this? Let's try having it go up. So we'll definitely need to use a clavicle here. And I'm just going to try to block this in really quick. So I'm not worried too much about like the perfect angles and perfect spacing. I just want to see how I can kind of tie this together and make something that works. Okay, so here, let's bring that back up here. And see, this is what I was worried about, is it's very hard to twist your arm up like this. Even just trying to do this and bring my elbow this way, it makes it feel like my shoulder is popping in the wrong direction. So I have to be very careful of that, and the longer it goes, the more awkward it's going to feel. But let's see what we can do. I'm not going to stop halfway. And actually, here, let me actually show the proper way to do this. If you're going to be testing a new like idea, I'm just going to take my whole animation here. That way, if I have to change anything else, I'm sure it's there. Take all my curves and do a buffer curve. What this is going to do is basically make it so that as I'm working, if ever I feel like, you know, this is not good or I'm going in the wrong direction, I have a global undo that I can just kind of reset that arm back to what I had without having to worry about actual undos. Let's bring that up just a little bit more. Okay. Let's see. When will you create a new demo reel? I definitely need to. My demo reel is it's at least 4 or 5 years old now, which is way too old for a demo reel. Technically, if you're looking for a job, you should be updating your demo reel at least once a year, ideally every 6 months or 4 or 6 months. There should be a new version of your reel with some new shots. So for me, like 4 or 5 years, that's a little long. But currently I'm not really looking for work, so if I updated my demo reel, it would be more for just kind of my own sake, just for the fun of it, which I would like to do anyway, just because it would be nice to be able to show like a bunch of the things I've worked on Twitch and some of the other projects I've done. So it might be something I'll try to do in 2020. We'll see. The main problem is if I make a demo reel, I would really want to polish it up, and with a lot of the stuff I do on Twitch, it's not stuff that really gets polished. I animate it and it just kind of like it's kind of demo material. It's not a full shot, or I never get to finish it. And I don't have free time to put into finishing a reel, unfortunately. So that's the main thing, is the time requirement. But I shouldn't make excuses. I should just do it. Find the time. Okay, there's a little bit of a hitch right there. And then as it comes up, that arm needs to come down. And then back up. Now, one thing I do want to make sure is that the arm and the leg don't feel tied in. So right now you can see how the arm comes up at the exact same time as the foot. So it kind of feels like there's a string connecting her fingers and her toes. And as she brings her foot up, or her hand up, that's what's moving her foot as well. It's almost like she's puppeteering her own foot. So all I need to do is kind of offset that. Either have the arm come out first, or have the foot come out first, and that'll solve the issue. And Sylvia, hello! Okay, so let's see how that feels. It's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't feel like a pop. I do kind of like the release and the kind of flick of the arm, but I'm not a fan of how it comes down. It feels, silhouette-wise, it's kind of meh. So maybe, I wonder if I can just keep it forward. So like, I'm kind of going based off of my reference here. In the reference, they kind of tuck their arm in, but I wonder if I just bring it, like, I keep it forward here, so it stays in front of the leg the whole time. Excuse me. Nose is getting all stuffy. Just kind of keep it in front of the leg here. And kind of open it up a little bit more. That might work. So it kind of, I'm playing to perspective a little bit more. I'm still not bringing the arm like way out, so like silhouette wise it's just sticking straight out, because I do kind of want it hidden in silhouette, because the leg should be the thing that's the main focus here. But at least with this way I can kind of make it a little bit more visually interesting. And I'm just keying it on once, just to to make sure I get exactly what I want and I'm not fighting Maya. And then I'll clean up the curve after. So it kind of comes down like that. Let's not exaggerate that quite as much. Okay, that's going to feel like a little bit of a wave, like a bump right there, but we'll see how that feels. Yeah, that feels much better already. So instead of trying to... See, this is where don't get caught up with your reference. If your reference has something, my reference has the arm tucked in and she twists her arm like behind her, like doing this. In my shot, because I exaggerated how much rotation is in the body, that doesn't work anymore. She literally has to pass her arm through her leg for that to work physically, which could technically work if I really cartoonified it, but it also works if I just change it up and I create something new based off of it. And I'm taking that reference and I'm making my own shot. Don't be locked into your own reference. Don't feel like it's, well, my reference says it's this way, it's gotta be. You don't want to change it randomly and willy-nilly because you're gonna lose your body mechanics in the core. So for example, I'm not gonna have her do like triple spins if she doesn't have enough momentum to do that. But I can tweak and I can create my own. So I think with that, that's the arm still definitely needs a lot of work. I'm gonna do a whole pass on that as well. But for now, I think that's all I can do today, simply because I've got the meeting in about 13 minutes. I was supposed to leave a little earlier and I ended up getting caught up again. I've just watched men's gymnastic tumbling finals. Those are so much fun to watch. Just gymnastics in general, especially if you watch, I highly recommend everyone check this out. Watch the difference between like the I believe it's like 1940s or 1950s gymnastics versus today's gymnastics. It's amazing what humans, like how we pushed ourselves physically and pushed what the human body can do. And what used to be like a gold medal before versus what's a gold medal now is just fantastic reference to look at. And it's a good example of, like, in terms of animation, of exaggeration, how you can do one shot and it's fine. And actually, here, I've still got a few minutes here. I want to show this simply because we've been kind of talking about it. So let me go to YouTube and what is it, 1930? Okay, yeah, so let's take a look at this. So if we look at the one on the left, this is from the 50s and 60s versus one of the most recent Olympics. And pay attention to how much, in animation terms, how much they've exaggerated motions. And let me mute the music here. Slow flips, slow motions versus what is now. Especially this one. You go from, let's frame through it. You go one flip. On the left, she touches with one hand, the next, and whing, she just somersaults. Like, it's just a cartwheel, basically. Not much more than a cartwheel. And now you look at the new one, not only does she do much more, instead of just jumping on the trampoline, she flips onto the trampoline. After she flips onto the trampoline, she touches the, I forget, the horse or the pommel horse, and then jumps over. In the original, we get one flip. In this, we get 1, 2. So 2 flips and a spin. So it's the same motion. if you were to have this shot described to you in like dailies, you would be told, okay, have the character run up, hit the trampoline, flip over the pommel horse, and land. You could do one, or you could do the other. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. It depends on your character. If your character is supposed to be from the 1950s, you would want them to do the left version probably, or at least a variation of it. You can add a little touch from the new ones, but those old motions are going to be very different. So this, it used to just be kind of stretching. So it's really impressive to see things like that. So I would definitely recommend taking time to look at it. And you can see now that we looked at those Olympics and looked at mine's not that impressive in terms of how she moves. It's actually a little bit more towards the 1950s Olympics versus the new ones. If it was the new one, she'd be like doing a spin in midair while doing all of this. It's very simple. So it's not bad one or the other. Let's see. Feels like the state of animation, the quality went up so high. Yeah, exactly. And I see this with students as well. Like the quality of the AM students right now is overall better than the quality of when I was in there, because everyone's skills are just like going up so much faster. The demo reels that you are creating that are student reels, which are like, oh yeah, it's student work, is better than the reels, the master reels of animators in the early 2000s. Like if they used that old reel from the early 2000s to apply to a job, it would be like, what kind of stuff is this? Because your work has all gone up and the knowledge of it has all gone up. Let's see. Yeah, the Olympics, I believe, were forbidden to professionals. I think it was supposed to be like what was it? It was like just the best athletes, not the best professional athletes. Let's see. Can I tell you still had like, oh, we've been friends for months and I don't know. You want to see something insane? Check out the McDonald's commercials. Oh yeah, for anyone who wants, like, especially if you're afraid of clowns, don't look this up. But look, if you're interested in seeing how character design has upgraded in the last few years, look at the original Ronald McDonald, the original McDonald's clown. It is horrifying. Look that up. Let's see. Out of curiosity, look at Wikipedia. Nice. It changed in the 70s apparently. Interesting. So I think with that, I've only got like 7 minutes. Like the moment when Yoda started flipping around a cricket. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to get going. Unfortunately, I would have liked to kind of finish this segment, but hopefully the stream was helpful. I know we kind of went off on weird tangents again, but hopefully it was interesting. Hopefully I was able to answer the questions for everyone. And A to the J, thank you. Always with the bits, A to the J. And a huge thank you again to Sir Wade for gifting all of those subs. That was amazing, and I have no words to thank him for all of that, and for everyone who has subscribed. Thank you all so much. And yeah, hope you all have a wonderful week. Hopefully I'll see you in a stream in the next short while, and yeah, see you around. Bye.